weight scale out on my bench, and you can see that's the 5-iron, and just put in regular without the ferrule on. You can see that it comes to a D0 swing weight. But just to prove to you that sometimes these things are kind of important, I'm gonna take a second to take the ferrule and put it in place, you know, temporarily per se, just with a slight piece of tape, and it doesn't have to be exact, but you can see that now it's taped roughly in place where it would be, and you can see that now the swing weight has now increased because now it's out of balance. So with the addition of that one little bit of change in mass and about a half a swing weight point or so, is about what has come up. So again, there's argumentation back and forth. The ferrules don't weigh much. Look, it's not a huge amount, but it's something to be aware of, right? Every little piece, you look at that one little piece of plastic and you don't think it has a big effect. Well, in certain cases, they make bigger ones. They make smaller ones. They make ones that are, you know, heavier and lighter to accommodate those details in swing weight. Look, do you have to be super precise on everything? I guess not, but if you never get any better, you figure why, you know, how come I can't ever find a piece of equipment that works well for me? Well, maybe you should ask yourself that question to be a little bit more detailed in your builds, all right? So there's that. Now we're at about, like I said, about D.5 or so. So now with that, now again, this is where the tricky part came from, right? The 5-iron is now going on the shaft from in that new tensile, right? The 5-iron to 5-iron, if we're looking at just sheer numbers, right? And if you remember, I said that that the TaylorMade head weighed 257 grams versus the Titleist at 249. So now with just the 5-iron going just number for number, here's the 5, right? Number for number. Now you can see that the swing weight scale was influenced to be not D0 anymore, but closer to D3. Now for somebody that's looking for a D0 swing weight, a D3 swing weight is going to feel like a sledgehammer. So now again, what I was saying before about the differences in mass here, if I simply take that 5-iron off and I take my 4-iron head, because again the 4-iron is going to be closer to the 249 area, and we were looking for an end result to be somewhere in the neighborhood of around D0, same shaft, different head, and lo and behold, slightly under. Slightly under D0. Okay. I'm going to turn this around. So look, and again, this is where the stuff is important, right? Where experience comes along the lines of being able to help somebody get a set of golf clubs that's playable, right? So this is only this is just the figuring it out. We haven't even talked about what's going to happen on the other end of the golf club, because this gentleman likes build-up tape and things like that, and as long as you are getting what it is that you're looking for, you know, like what you were fit for, i.e. the proper swing weight, and you were fit for it and such, then as you start to apply grips in different sizes and, you know, different textures and such, most of them are pretty close in weight, but if you start to incorporate from a 50-gram grip up to a 60-some-odd gram grip, it will have an effect on how the golf club feels overall. Again, going right back to that tire balancing perspective, and make it, instead of 1 ounce, you know what, more is better, so let me just put 2 grams or 2 ounces of lead at degree number 200 or 210 or whatever I had said before, and now all of a sudden that tire is just as bad off as it was if you had nothing on it, right? So again, it's all a matter of perspective. Conjecture doesn't ever really work, and it never has. If you take the time to build properly, then you should get what you're looking for, okay? So I appreciate this time still, and we're going to keep right on going here. So I'm going to take a break and then see what we need to do next. Sorry for the change in lighting, guys. It was a little bit of a break. Like I said, you know, sometimes you get pulled away to do things. Mine happened to be a bike ride with my son. So anyway,
I'm gonna get back to it again. So before, when I had taken, we were talking about putting that 5 iron shaft or that 5 iron head on the 4 iron shaft. So it accommodated the length things that we needed. This gentleman is looking for his clubs to be about a ½ inch over standard, so they're going to accommodate a ½ inch over standard. Would have been the other reason for those lighter weight heads from the manufacturers, because sometimes if it's not and it's on that traditional gradient, the first one that I told you about, based off of a 254 gram 5 iron at a ½ inch over standard, that head starts to feel really significantly heavy. Over the years, again, with lighter weight components and things, shafts in particular, lighter weight heads seem to feel more comfortable for people. So again, it's nothing wrong with it. It just happens to be something that you just need to be aware of whenever you're building. So with this situation here, now again, going back to that swing weight thing, as it was with a regular men's standard grip with one layer of build-up tape on it, those shafts came out to about D0. This gentleman has a unique situation where he seems to like a Z-cord grip, but he likes it built up to a mid-size. I know they make this in a mid-size, which would make this whole thing a lot easier. However, just to make sure that we're maintaining the same feel and the same differences in how the clubs were built, and replacing everything exactly the same, he had the equivalent of 6 layers of masking tape. This is just regular old masking tape on each one of these grips, underneath each one of these grips. And with that, that's going to take weight perception away from the head. So now I did the first one just to see where it was going to be, and it winds up being that that shaft is a C8 swing weight. So we took away 2 swing weight points. We'll probably choose to use a larger ferrule, the larger of the ferrules that I have here, which will add a little bit of mass back to it. We might actually have to add a little bit of weight back into the head, and we can do that with tungsten and a cork, because it's not going to really be a lot. The problem becomes sometimes when you're talking about adding or taking away weight or something along those lines. There's great little tip weights that are out there, but you can see that this little tip weight would change the bore depth of the iron itself, and then could make them feel a little different from one to the other. So actually, over the years, I found I prefer using tungsten in a cork as opposed to using tip weights whenever possible, just because, again, it doesn't affect it. It won't change the bore depth, and then you can appropriately deal with that. I mean, you can put a decent amount in there, you'd be surprised. Lead tape goes a long way. This is the easiest of all of these solutions. But often people don't like the appearance of it, or it falls off because, again, sometimes you're going to be dealing with situations in the morning where the lead tape may come off, right? If anybody's ever dealt with that, you know that can happen. But again, yeah, so this is the basic idea of what's going to happen. Let me make a little adjustment so you can see more of what I'm doing. All right, so basically I'm going to take my marker out. This is just a plain old marker, and I'm going to put the grip right up along the side. I'm going to make a mark on the shaft, probably about roughly a ½ of an inch, about a ½ of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, further back from the very, very end of the grip. And then from there, just take the tape. This is build-up tape, so again, we're doing 6 layers. And we're going to just take a knife, cut it off, and then we're going to do 3 layers at a time. You're going to basically make little layers to it, right? So if this is the base layer, then you're going to put another one, and another one would go behind here. And then this way, when you can just do it all as one, it'll be nice and clean, easy to get on, uniform in size. And those are the big things that you're really trying to look for, is just to keep everything fairly uniform so that you don't feel any lumps or seams or anything along those lines. So again, this is just 3. So then we're going to wrap it all the way around, and you can see there that no seams, no anything, right? We put the grip up against the side, and well, actually probably easier for you to see from there. You can see that there's still a little bit of room for when I slide the grip on. There'll be plenty of overlap, so again, it'll feel round and not like out of shape or something along those lines. So again, now I'm going to continue on. I'm going to put these next 5 grips on, and then I'll cut back and we'll keep on going, okay? Well, we're back. Unfortunately, this turned into a big twist that happens from time to time. I'd gotten, went back and read some of my the initial information that I'd gotten from the gentleman that we're building these irons for, and it turns out that he needed those irons to be a 1/2 inch over standard. So when I took that 4-iron shaft and I measured it out to be that 1/2 inch over standard, it wasn't. So basically what I had to do was take those grips off, right? And I went ahead and epoxied all the heads together. This way I'd save a little bit of time on the filming, and then I epoxied an extension into the back of the grip, again, just to make sure that we are accommodating that plus 1/2 inch over standard that they were looking for, based off of the length of the existing set that they had. So these things happen, you know, like we were saying, sometimes it's a matter of doing too many things, having, you know, again, like I was saying, you get pulled in 1,000 directions. You can see I had to take time, regroup, and get all this together again to save some time. So anyway, that's what's going on. So now we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to re-put the grips back on, as well as cut everything to length and such. And like I said, these will be hopefully a little bit shorter videos, you know, just going through the process one step at a time, and then we'll go through and show you the end result. So I'm going to reset up. I'm going to put you back on hold again.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm looking for here when I am measuring for length is this is a bench ruler that I have out on the bench now, and at that point you'll see that the lower part of this bench is angled off. You want to make sure that the angle of the base itself and the angle of the score lines of the golf club are parallel with one another, and if they're not, you just kind of give it a little nudge until it is, and you can eyeball this. You know, again, it doesn't have to be super precise. As long as it's pretty close, you'll be within, you know, probably a 32nd or less, a 64th of your end result. And then basically what we're going to do is go down on the other end, and you can see right there that this is 38, just around 38 inches. We're going to extend this out to 38.5 inches, and then cut all of these extensions, and then do the gripping from there. Okay, I'll come back and show you that end result.